So here we are at UFC 306. Look, we've come a long way, all right? We've accomplished a lot. We've hit 2 parlays, netting $1,200 worth of profit if you bet $25 on each one. And look, while we have had a lot of success, I'm ready to call it quits. I'm just being honest. I am ready to call it quits. If this parlay this weekend does not hit, that's game over and we're done. And I'm being dead serious. That's it. If this parlay does not hit, we're done. All right? With that being said, no pressure, right? Here we go. Alrighty, starting off, we have Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ariel Kliang. And look, this one's pretty simple. They are feeding poor Ariel Kliang over here to Raul Rosas Jr. Every single weakness this guy has coincides with all of Raul Rosas Jr.'s strengths. And I think Raul is going to take him down, easily be probably 1,000 times better on the ground, and he's going to most likely submit him round 1, and that one's pretty simple. I mean, look, this fight is so lopsided that there's almost no point in putting Raul Rosas on the parlay. There's no point. He's like a minus 900 favorite. There's zero profit to be made putting him on the parlay. Look, maybe you can bet on a submission round 1, but again, if I had to make a prediction, that's what I would say is going to happen. But again, I'm not going to risk the whole parlay on Raul potentially knocking this guy out with ground and pound. You know what I mean? So look, that's an option, but for me, I'm just not even going to put him on the parlay. And then we have Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Van. This is a tough one because, look, I think Joshua Van is all around more technical, more skillful. He is coming off a knockout loss to Charles Johnson. And look, that was a tough fight, but I just don't think Edgar is nearly as slick. I don't think he's as technical as Johnson was in the pocket. And again, I think in pretty much any other circumstance than this current fight, I would say Joshua is an easy pick for the parlay, but he's coming in on this fight on short notice. And I'm not risking the whole parlay on a guy coming in on short notice, so, we're going to avoid this one. Now, Yazmin Uruguay versus Ketlen Souza. Look, I normally avoid the women fights, but look, Yazmin's a lock in every single sense of the word. She is better everywhere than Souza. I think the only shot Ketlen has of winning is a Hail Mary overhand right round 1, and I just don't think the odds of that are very high. I think Yazmin, she is the lock of the card, no question, which makes sense. She's a minus 455 favorite. But, there's profit to be made there, and Yazmin will be going on the parlay. Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Okay, this one's rough. This is a rough one because these odds are not correct. As of right now, Ignacio is a plus 115 underdog. And I feel very strongly that Ignacio is going to win, but I just can't put it on the parlay. Manuel Torres, he's only had, I believe, 2 fights in the UFC now, but they're all first-round finishes. He has real power in his hands. Now, his defense isn't great. He's pretty hittable, but like I said, he wades forward. He's got good boxing, and he has real one-punch knockout power. Now, Ignacio, I think he's slicker on the feet. I think he's more technical, way taller, way longer, but he does get hit. Now, with a pretty heavy caveat, though, that he very, very rarely gets hit clean. He covers up well. He's always bracing for shots. He sees shots coming well. So again, I feel very strongly that he is going to win this fight, but man, I just cannot risk the entire parlay on him getting knocked out by a stray shot, because I'm telling you, if there's one thing you can point to when looking at Manuel Torres, it's the fact that he can knock you out with one shot, and he has power. And again, I just can't risk the parlay on it. I just can't. Now look, if you want to take the risk, again, I feel very strongly in Ignacio winning this fight. I do, but again, not for me. I'm not risking my retirement on, Ignacio Bahamondes getting caught with a shot. So I won't be putting him on the parlay, but, you can play with it. You can play with it for sure. Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. Probably Dumont. Ronaldo Rodrigues versus Odi Osborne. Man, this is another one I went back and forth on a lot because Ronaldo Rodrigues is going to have a massive advantage in the grappling. Way better positionally, way better submissions. If you could pick one big weakness with Osborne, it is going to be the grappling. But Ronaldo Rodrigues, man, he just leaves his chin out there to get hit. He just does. But his chin is ungodly. It is. He's only had one fight in the UFC, and man, he got cracked clean round one because he's just standing there, chin right in the air. But he ate it and didn't even react at all. But it can't go on the parlay because Ronaldo, for how much of an advantage he's going to have in the grappling, in his sole UFC fight, he did not shoot a single takedown. He won by submission, but the reason why he won by submission is because his opponent kept taking him down, and immediately, as soon as they hit the ground, Rodrigues was just putting a clinic on him. But again, he did not shoot a single takedown. And man, if he's not going to be shooting on Osborne, you can't put him on the parlay. There's just no way. Osborne is going to be the faster, more technical striker. And again, Ronaldo, he relies on his chin heavily. And if he's not going to be shooting takedowns, he can't go on the parlay. And it's just that simple. And it's such a shame because, he should win this fight. He should, but I cannot risk the entire parlay on hoping he has a very specific game plan of hunting takedowns. So it's not going on the parlay. Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. Okay, this one is very, very similar to Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. It's very similar. We got Daniel, who's very tall, very lanky kickboxer, versus Esteban, who's primarily a boxer. Now, the reason why I am so much more confident picking Daniel for the parlay is Esteban does not have that same power that Torres has. He just doesn't. He wades forward, he throws decent combinations, and he has a very sneaky high kick. He likes to sneak in the middle of his combinations, but because of the massive height advantage Daniel's going to have, I think the high kick's going to be pretty mute and void. And again, I think Esteban, the odds of him knocking out Daniel with one shot, that's going to be very, very low. And I am very confident on putting Daniel on the parlay. He'll be going there for sure. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopes. I am in awe that Brian Ortega is a plus 145 underdog. I'm in absolute awe because, look, man, Diego Lopes, I get it. He's huge for the weight class. He's got a lot of hype behind him. He's got a lot of power. But if there's one thing the fight against Dan Ige proved, it's that Diego is not the most technical boxer. And look, I get it. Some people are not going to be happy that I'm judging him so harshly on a fight that came together on an hour's notice. But man, it's there throughout all of Diego Lopes's fights. He does not set up his punches. He doesn't. He kind of just goes at you, winging big hooks, short uppercuts. And again, he has power. If he lands, it's detrimental. But all Dan Ige did to survive pretty much all of the striking exchanges was just keep both hands up and brace. That's it. That's all he did. And all of a sudden, Diego Lopes just lunging in with hooks and uppercuts just wasn't really doing much because he wasn't trying to set up his punches. For somebody with as much power as Diego Lopes, man, if he just threw the occasional feint, if he just really tried to set up a clean shot, he would be so much more deadly. But Brian Ortega is the more technical boxer. There's no way around it. He stays very defensively sound, covers up well, and I think he's more technical. And I just don't think Diego lunging at him with big shots is going to hurt Brian. I think, look, the best shot Diego has is landing an uppercut. But the reason why Diego was able to knock out Sodiq Yusuff with an uppercut was because in the pocket, Sodiq reached out for a collar tie and left himself open to get cracked. I think Brian Ortega, if he just covers up, moves, stays defensively sound like we've seen him do so many times in the past, he's going to be a step ahead everywhere. In terms of the jiu-jitsu, Diego Lopes, he's nasty off his back for sure, but I think Brian Ortega all around is better. I think he has better submissions, better guillotines, better darces. I think he's better on top on the ground. And again, Brian Ortega at a plus 145 underdog is a steal. He will be going on the parlay. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Man, something is just telling me Grasso's got it. Something is just telling me. But man, when you look at this fight just skill for skill, it is so goddamn close. And you can go back and forth on this all day. Alexa Grasso better with submissions, more power in her hands, but Valentina is way quicker. And I think if Valentina is a lot more kick heavy in this fight, I think it's going to give her an advantage. But again, there's no way this can go on the parlay. It's just way too razor close of a fight. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then, of course, Sean O Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. And look, I already made a whole breakdown on this. I think it comes down to the fact that Merab, his distance management isn't great. I think Sean, with his range and his footwork, he's going to be really hard to track down. The reason why Peter Yan was able to get deep on takedowns against Sean is because of his elite striking. He was able to close the distance expertly, get deep on takedowns. Merab can't do that. Merab does not have the same ability as somebody like Peter Yan. And I think, look, we've seen him get cracked trying to enter into range against much shorter opponents. And I think Sean's going to be an all-around massive problem for him. Even if Merab takes down Sean, he's not going to be able to finish him. A subscriber of mine named Taylor Weber, here's his Instagram right here. He's an accomplished Sambo practitioner. Just a couple months ago, he faced Merab in a Sambo match. It was clear Taylor was the far more technical judoka. He was hitting him with good throws, good trips. Now, Taylor told me that he, was coming off of an injury. He hadn't been training. He was drinking beers. But he found out Merab was competing in this tournament, so he hopped in there. He was in terrible shape. He kept turtling every single time Merab was going for takedowns. Now, according to Sambo rules, you're allowed 10 seconds to work from the turtle before the referee sets you back up. Now, Merab had an amazing opportunity to go for submissions, to try to take Taylor's back. But you know what Merab did? Nothing. Because Merab has no ability to finish you on the ground. He has no back takes. He has no submissions. So Merab just kept giving up every single time Taylor turtled. Merab was getting so fucking triggered by it. And at the end of the match, you see Merab loses and Merab's all pissed off. And Merab's like, this guy was just stalling. And listen to what Taylor tells him.
You guys know if it's a fight, maybe, but
what do you do to get the don't worry about it.
If you couldn't hear that, Taylor goes, hey, that's exactly what you did to Jose Aldo.
You guys know if it's a fight, maybe, but
what do you do to get the don't worry about it.
And Merab tries to fucking fight him because that's how triggered he was. But again, I think this interesting match right here is all you need to know about Merab. If he takes Sean down, he's not going to finish him. And I think he has no ability to enter into range. And Sean O Malley will be going on the parlay. All right, let's go ahead and build this parlay. Starting off, we're going as safe as humanly possible. Again, Raul Rosas Jr. at a minus 950. There's no profit there. You can bet on him winning by submission. But again, I'm not risking my retirement on Raul, ground and pounding this guy out. So no, that's not going on the parlay. You got to go Yazmin. Again, man, this is tempting, but I'm not going to do it. Got to put Daniel Zellhuber. Got to put Brian Ortega. And you got to put Sean O Malley. This is a small 4-fight parlay. $25 will win you $164. This, in my mind, this is a lock. These 4 fights right here is as safe as you can physically get. If you want to take some extra risk, all right, let's put Raul Rosas Jr. by submission. That's at a minus 175. Just that right there is going to increase our odds to 272. Again, I think you got to put Ignacio on here if you're going to be taking risks. And then, boom, now you got 575. Again, I like this right here. But again, I can't do it. But I like this. I don't mind it. If you want to be a real madman, you'd put Luis Rodrigues to win, and then you'd put Grasso to win. Now, this is an 8-fight parlay, and yeah, we're talking $1,700. Again, I like this. Maybe not Alexa Grasso. That's kind of scary. But I like this right here, this 7-fight parlay for sure. But again, it's risky. But there you go. Those are your guys' options.